Grace and Sophia now walked through the village like local celebrities. Every morning, they dressed like royalty. Grace would tie her wrapper high, apply bright red lipstick, and carry her small handbag as if it were a crown jewel. Sophia chose short skirts and tight blouses, swaying her hips confidently down the road. They acted like they owned the place. Grace told anyone who cared to listen that she was now the king's favorite. She claimed he refused to eat unless she served his food and said he would soon dismiss his other wives and crown her queen. Sophia bragged that her married lover gave her money every week and had recently gifted her a new phone, though the screen was cracked, and it had no SIM card. One afternoon, they strolled into the market. Grace asked a meat seller for some cuts, but when it was time to pay, she waved it off. "Don't worry. My husband, the king, will pay." Sophia, wanting slippers, said, "I don't have money now, but next week my man will bring plenty from the city." The sellers exchanged knowing glances and chuckled. Women nearby whispered, "Look at them, village champions." Another muttered, "The king is just using her. And that married man? He'll never leave his wife for Sophia." But Grace and Sophia didn't care. They moved with pride. That evening at a local bar, they ordered drinks and didn't pay. Grace told the owner, "Put it on the king's tab." Sophia added, "Add meat, my man is loaded." The bar owner smiled politely, but after they left, he shook his head. "A big disgrace is coming." That night, Grace sat outside, fanning herself and watching the stars. "Sophia," she said, "do you see how much respect we're getting now?" Sophia nodded. "Yes, Mama, they used to gossip. Now they greet us first." Grace smiled. "Let them talk. We're the real champions here." They laughed, convinced they were winning. Sophia waited behind the bar, on the bamboo bench where she usually met Mr. Felix. He was heavy-set, dark-skinned, and always wore oversized sunglasses, even at night. When he arrived, he placed a nylon bag of fried meat and a bottle in front of her. "My baby," he said warmly. But Sophia didn't smile. She crossed her arms and looked away. He tried to touch her hand, but she pulled back. "What is it, my love?" he asked. "I'm tired, Felix," she said, her voice sharp. "You keep making empty promises. Where is the car? The house you promised?" Felix sighed. "Baby, take it easy." "No," she snapped. "I'm tired of the lies. Every time I call, you're busy. Every time I ask for something, you say soon. When is soon?" "Please, don't shout," he said, glancing around. "People are watching." "I don't care," Sophia said. "I want my own life. My own house. My own car. I'm tired of hiding like a thief." Felix scratched his head. "My business will soon blow up. Once the money lands, I'll do everything. I swear." "You've been saying that for 5 months," she said. "I'm not stupid. If you're not going to leave your wife, just say it now." "I will leave her," he said, holding her hand. "I swear on my life." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "You better mean it. Because if you lie to me, I'll end it with my own hands. I'm not playing." Felix smiled. "Calm down, my queen. I love you. My wife. She's just holding space. She's old cargo." Sophia wiped her tears. "So what's the plan now?" He leaned closer. "Once my container lands in Lagos, I'll sell everything. I'll divorce her. I'll marry you. You'll be the real madam." A small smile formed on her lips. "You're serious?" "Very serious," he said. "You're not like the others. You're special. Beautiful. And the way you handle me, chai." Sophia blushed. Even my rich ex wasn't as good as you. I don't know what you do to me. Felix laughed. That's why I can't let you go. He pulled a small gold chain from his pocket. Take this. Just manage it for now. Sophia grabbed it, smiling. I love you, Felix. I love you more, he said. My wife. She can't even dance. Still sleeps with a wrapper like a village relic. They both laughed. But you, Felix said, you're fire. You make me feel like a man. Sophia rested her head on his shoulder. Please don't break my heart, she whispered. I won't, he replied, kissing her forehead. As they sat in the dark exchanging sweet promises and empty words, Sophia had no idea Felix had told his wife she was nothing more than a joke. Grace returned to the palace, wearing her best dress. She walked in confidently and found the king under a tree, sipping local wine. Your Majesty, she greeted. Grace, welcome, the king replied. She sat beside him. I came to ask again. When will you marry me? The king sighed. Not yet. I have to speak to my wives first. I need their approval. Grace frowned. After everything, you still need permission. That's how it works, he said. She stood up, frustrated. Don't worry. I've heard enough. As she stormed toward the gate, she saw the king's son, Maxwell. Tall, well-built, and striking. Hello, he said with a smile. Grace smiled back. Hello, young man. You're beautiful, he said, eyeing her. Very beautiful. Thank you, handsome, she replied. I like older women, Maxwell added. They know what they want. Grace's eyes lit up. Really? Let's meet tonight, he said. You can come to my house, she offered. I'm single and free. Be my sugar boy. Maxwell chuckled. Say no more. Grace floated home, unable to stop smiling. When she got there, Sophia was sitting outside. Mama, why are you smiling like that? Did the king finally agree? Grace sat beside her. Forget the king, he's confused. Guess who I met? His son. Maxwell. He said I'm beautiful and told me he likes older women. Sophia jumped up. Mama. So it's not the king anymore, it's the prince. Grace laughed. If the king is wasting time, his son won't. Sophia clapped. You're dangerous. First the king, now the prince. Grace nodded. We'll deal with all the useless men in this village. Maxwell had been visiting her every night. She cooked for him, washed his clothes, and gave him whatever he asked. She believed he loved her. One evening, as they sat in her room after dinner, Maxwell grew quiet. Baby, what's wrong? Grace asked. I want to tell you something important, he said. Anything, just say it. If you do this for me, I'll marry you immediately. Grace's eyes lit up. Really? Yes. But it's not small, it's huge. Tell me. I'm ready. He looked her in the eye. My father refuses to die. Until he's gone, I can't become king. Grace blinked. What are you saying? I want to be king, he said slowly, and I need your help. What kind of help? I want you to help me end his life. Grace jumped up. Jesus! What? Keep your voice down, he warned. You want to kill your father. I'm tired of waiting, he said. He's old, weak, but refuses to hand over power. I've tried everything. He won't step down. Grace held her head. No. I can't. Never. Maxwell stood. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me. Please don't say that, she begged. I love you, but not like that. Then it's over, he said and turned to leave. Wait, Grace pleaded. I'll think about it. Maxwell smiled and walked back to her. That's my baby. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. She nodded slowly, her heart pounding. I just need time. He kissed her forehead. Think fast. I mean it. After he left, Grace sat in the dark, trembling. Her hands shook. Her heart felt heavy. If she said no, she would lose him. If she said yes, she might lose everything. Meanwhile, in the city, Richard's life had found calm since he left the village with Daniel. He focused on his business and smiled more often. One evening, he met a gentle, respectful woman named Anita at a supermarket. After a brief encounter, they began to spend time together. She didn't care about his wealth, she cared about his heart. Daniel noticed his father's joy returning. Richard laughed again, dressed better, looked younger. One morning, Daniel asked, Daddy, when are you getting married? Richard smiled. Married? Where's that coming from? I see how you look at Anita, Daniel said. You like her? Yes, Richard chuckled. She's a good woman. But I need time. Because of Mom. Richard nodded. She made her choice. She left. I trusted her. I built a life with her, and she threw it away. Will you ever forgive her? Daniel asked. I will forgive, Richard replied softly. But I'll never forget. Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. You're strong, Dad. I'm proud of you. Richard smiled. Thank you, son. You're my biggest blessing. Daniel grinned. Maybe Anita is the new beginning you need. Maybe, Richard said. But I won't rush. They sat quietly, sipping tea, watching the sunrise. Peace had finally returned. Back in the village, Sophia sat alone, holding a pregnancy test. Two bold lines stared back at her. She whispered, I'm pregnant. She didn't know whether to cry or smile. After a long pause, she wiped her face, stood up, and headed straight to Felix's shop. He dropped his phone. My baby, he smiled. What brings you here this early? Sophia didn't waste time. I'm pregnant. Felix froze. Are you sure? She nodded. Very sure. I checked twice. His eyes widened. Then he jumped up and hugged her tightly. God has finally answered me. I've been with that foolish woman for years. No child. Now God has blessed me through you. Sophia looked surprised. You're happy. Happy. Felix shouted. I feel like dancing. You are carrying my child, and that's all that matters. Keep it, my love. That child will be my heir. Sophia smiled softly. But baby, I don't want that woman around the house. Felix nodded quickly. Done. She's leaving tomorrow. You'll move in. Sophia was stunned. Really? Yes, he said firmly. She has no say in my life. She dare not speak. I'm the man of the house. You and my baby are my future now. Sophia hugged him tightly. Thank you, baby. I won't disappoint you. Later that evening, Sophia rushed home and told her mother everything. Mama, I'm pregnant, she shouted. Grace jumped up. With Felix's child. Sophia nodded, smiling. Grace clapped her hands. That's my girl. You've done well. Your future is now secured. Sophia laughed. He said his wife is leaving tomorrow, and I'll move in. Grace nodded proudly. Felix is doing well. He has land, a shop, and respect. He'll take care of you. Sophia looked at her. What about you and the prince? Any good news? Grace smiled and placed her hand on her chest. Very soon, my daughter. He will marry me and I'll give him 4 children. Sophia teased, Mama, aren't you too old for pregnancy? Grace frowned playfully. Will you shut that mouth? Mind your business. Love has no age. The prince loves me like no man ever has. Sophia laughed. Okay, just don't carry twins at your age. Grace joined in the laughter. Even if I do, I'll carry them with style. They both laughed together like best friends. Very soon, Grace said, we'll both be married. You'll be madam of your house, and I'll be the palace queen. Sophia nodded. Mama, our time has come. But outside the door, a passing woman overheard them. She shook her head and muttered, 2 goats dancing on a cliff. They had no idea how close they were to falling. Sophia moved into Felix's house the next day. His first wife had been sent away without warning. Sophia took over the home, arranged it to her taste, moved in her clothes, and proudly called herself Madam. At first, everything was sweet. Each morning, Felix gave her money before heading to his shop. Buy food, cook something good, rest well, and take care of my baby, he would say. Yes, baby. I love you, Sophia would reply, smiling. But as days passed, things changed. Felix began coming home tired, sweating, and hungry. He would check the pot. Empty. The table. Nothing. Sophia, he would call out. She would stroll out slowly, holding her belly. Yes. Where's the food? I'm pregnant. I was tired. But I gave you money. I used some. Bought something for myself. I slept off. Felix shook his head and stepped outside, frustrated and hungry. The pattern repeated the next day. And the next. Sometimes she blamed wet firewood. Other times she claimed dizziness. Mostly, she just didn't feel like cooking. One evening, fed up, Felix stormed in and saw no food again. He threw his bag down. Sophia, are you the first woman to get pregnant? She came out angry. What's your problem again? I work hard every day to provide, and you can't even cook. My first wife wasn't like this. To hell with you and your foolish first wife. Maybe she was your slave. I'm not. Felix's eyes darkened. Don't insult her. I'll insult her and insult you. If my father hadn't become poor, someone like you would never see me. Felix rose. What did you say? You heard me. This house stinks of your poverty. Your mother that married 5 different men, shameless family. That was the final blow. Felix's hand flew across her face. She fell. Don't ever talk about my mother, he shouted. Sophia tried to stand. He pushed her again. Touch me again and I'll kill you, she screamed. But before anything else, a sharp pain shot through her belly. My baby, she cried out, holding her stomach. Felix panicked. What is it? They rushed to a local nurse. But it was too late. The pregnancy was gone. The news spread quickly. Some blamed her. Others blamed him. But Sophia didn't care. She was shattered. The next morning, she packed and left his house. When she got home, Grace saw her and asked, What happened? Sophia quietly dropped her bag and sat on the floor, tears falling. I'm done, Mama. I've had enough. Grace sat beside her. What happened? I lost the baby. Grace gasped. He beat me. I insulted him. I insulted his family. I was tired. Everything fell apart. Grace hugged her tight. It's okay, my daughter. You're safe now. Sophia whispered, I should have stayed in the city. I never should have followed him. They sat in silence. No more pride. No more laughter. Just pain and regret. Grace, still lost in her dreams, continued preparing food for Maxwell, wearing her best clothes, smiling like a bride. He visited often, ate happily, touched her gently, kissed her sweetly, and whispered promises. She believed she was one step away from becoming a queen. But one evening, under the big mango tree, her dream shattered. She asked him when he would make things official. She was tired of hiding. She needed clarity. That's when Maxwell spoke. He said she was old enough to be his mother. He never planned to marry her. He just enjoyed the benefits. Her food, her money, her body, her love. But he never asked for any of it. She gave it all on her own. Grace stood there, heart racing, mouth dry, eyes wide. Maxwell didn't flinch. He called her desperate. Said he hated women who begged for love. Then he laughed, turned, and walked away. Grace couldn't move. Her legs were weak. Her hands trembled. Her heart shattered. She wiped her tears, turned slowly, and walked home. Sophia was outside drinking Gary, calm like nothing had happened. Grace dropped her bag and sat beside her, voice heavy with sorrow. She told her everything, how Maxwell had used her, lied to her, and discarded her like trash. The words were too painful to repeat. Sophia's eyes widened, but her face remained calm. She told her mother not to worry. She would talk to Maxwell. Maybe he just needed to hear reason. Grace clung to that hope. She watched Sophia walk away with quiet confidence, believing she was going to defend her honor. But that wasn't Sophia's plan. She arrived at the mango tree where Maxwell sat alone. No tears. No anger. Only smiles and soft steps. She didn't mention her mother. She didn't talk about heartbreak. She sat beside him, crossed her legs, and began to speak. She told him he was too handsome for an older woman. Asked if he was blind not to see her beauty. Said she had loved him long before her mother did. Maxwell laughed. Her words fed his ego. He said she was right. He liked them young and smart. He admitted he never loved Grace, not for a day. His plan had been to use her to overthrow his father and take the throne. But Grace had refused to help. Now she was useless. Sophia leaned closer. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, she whispered. No one must know. Not even my mother. Maxwell agreed. He said the king was already ill and would soon die. Then, he would become king. And Sophia, his queen. They sealed their secret with a quiet kiss beneath the mango tree. Sophia returned home with a straight face. She didn't say a word about what had happened. She walked in, helped her mother lie down, brought her water, and sat by her side. Like nothing had changed. Her forehead creased with sorrow, Grace smiled faintly, still holding on to the hope that her daughter was fighting for her back in the city. Meanwhile, a quiet wedding took place. Richard had moved on. After months of peace, dedication, and healing, he got married to Anita, the kind woman who stood by him when no one else did. Daniel stood proudly beside his father that day, watching him say "I do" with joy and fulfillment. The guests clapped, the music soared, and Richard and Anita danced like two souls who had finally found peace after the storm. Daniel was happy again. He finally saw the man he once admired, respected, calm, and full of life. Back in the village, however, a storm was quietly brewing. One morning, while sweeping the compound, Grace overheard two young girls chatting near the roadside. Their laughter and whispers drew her attention. One said, "You don't know? Sophia and the prince are now dating." The other laughed, "That girl no waste time, she don't reach palace level." Grace froze. Her broom slipped from her hand as if her strength had vanished. It felt like cold water had been poured over her. The girls kept walking, unaware that every word had pierced her like a knife. Trembling, Grace walked straight into the house. She found Sophia standing before a mirror, admiring herself. With fire in her voice, Grace called her daughter's name. There was no hiding her anger. When confronted, Sophia didn't deny it. She turned, smiled boldly, and confessed, yes, she was with Maxwell now. Laughing, she insulted her mother, saying Maxwell was too young for an old woman like her, and that he now belonged to her. She mocked her mother for leaving her husband just because he lost his fortune and chasing a prince who would never marry her. She called her a fool. Grace shook with fury. She clapped her hands and called Sophia a disgrace, a senseless child with no shame. She reminded her of her past, getting pregnant for a married man and losing the child, while her mates were in cities working in offices. She shouted, "You're a true daughter of your lazy father. No shame, no direction, just dust." Sophia didn't stay silent. She stood her ground and accused her mother of being jealous because she had lost, and now Maxwell was hers. She told Grace that the past was dead and she had no say in her future. Grace screamed that she would never give Maxwell up, but Sophia simply smiled and replied, "We shall see." Their home became a battleground, two women under one roof, bound by blood but divided by betrayal. The world outside remained still, but inside their house, chaos reigned. That night, Grace couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with thoughts of Maxwell and the humiliation she felt. The shame no longer mattered. Her heart wanted only one thing, to have Maxwell. The next day, she called him for a secret meeting. They met behind the old village clinic, under a large tree. Grace was trembling, but her voice was steady. She told him she was ready to kill the king for him. She said she couldn't bear losing him to Sophia and declared her love for him, recalling how he touched her body and made her feel alive. Maxwell listened quietly, then smiled. He told her that if she truly did it, he would forget Sophia and marry her once he became king. Grace was overjoyed. That night, she sneaked into the palace. Knowing the guards wouldn't let her near the king, she seduced one of them. After sleeping with him, she begged for help to get into the king's chamber. The foolish guard agreed. Inside the king's room, she froze. The old man lay asleep, peaceful, fragile. Her hands trembled. She couldn't do it. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She turned and ran. She went straight to Maxwell's hideout and confessed. She had already slept with the guard, she had tried, but she couldn't go through with it. Maxwell's expression changed. He stood up and stared at her, emotionless. In that moment, Grace felt something shift. She begged him to understand. She had done it all for love. But the next morning, the village woke up to heartbreaking news. The king was dead. Poison. Panic spread. The palace buzzed with chaos. Before midday, Grace and the guard were arrested. She cried and pleaded innocence, but no one listened. Why? Because Maxwell had a voice recording. Her confession, her plans, everything. He played the audio for the council. It was all the proof they needed. From a hopeful queen to a prisoner, Grace's name was dragged through the mud. She was locked in a cold cell, crying day and night, begging to be heard. She thought of everything, leaving her husband, chasing a prince, fighting her own daughter. And now, this was her end. One day, she begged a female officer to let her make a call. The officer agreed. Grace didn't have any numbers saved, But she remembered one, Daniel's. She recited it, and the officer dialed. Daniel picked up. When he heard her voice, he froze. Grace cried, explained everything: Maxwell's plan, the recording, the betrayal. She said she had heard about Richard becoming wealthy again, but she didn't believe it then. She begged Daniel to speak to his father, to help open an investigation. She swore she was innocent. Daniel stayed silent for a moment. Then he told her the truth. His father had moved on, married now, and might not want to get involved after all the pain she caused. Grace wept harder. She said she was sorry, she had realized her mistake too late, and all she wanted now was justice and forgiveness. Daniel promised nothing, but before ending the call, he told her something honest. Her choices brought her here. Grace nodded through her tears, whispering, I know I messed up. Please just help me. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Her voice echoed in his mind. Despite everything, he believed her. The next morning, he told Richard everything, about the call, the jail, Maxwell, and the king's death. Richard's anger flared. He shouted, saying he would never help the woman who destroyed his life. Daniel tried to explain, but Richard stormed into his room. Silence followed. Then Anita entered. She found Daniel, listened, and sighed. She walked to her husband, sat beside him, and held his hand. She reminded him of how much he had changed, how peace had returned to his life. She told him it wasn't about revenge. It was about what was right. If she dies in prison, and she's innocent, can you live with that? She asked. Richard didn't respond immediately. His chest heaved. His eyes were wet. Anita whispered, You don't have to forgive her, but please, help her. After a long silence, Richard nodded. Only for you and Daniel. Anita smiled and hugged him. Soon, Richard began making calls. He reached out to a trusted police officer, a man who owed him a favor. Quietly, they launched an investigation. A young female officer was sent to the village, undercover. No one, not even Maxwell, knew who she was. She played her role well, sweet, soft-spoken, attentive. Maxwell noticed her. They began spending time together. Thinking she was just another admirer, he lowered his guard. One afternoon, as they sat behind the palace, he leaned close and boasted. Grace was supposed to do it, but she couldn't. I had to finish it myself. My own father. But nobody would believe it, that's why I pinned it on her. He laughed, unaware he was being recorded. That night, the evidence reached the DPO. Before sunrise, a quiet black car stopped outside the palace. No noise, no warning, Maxwell was arrested. Back in prison, Grace sat quietly when the cell door opened. You've been cleared, the officer said. She didn't understand at first. The officer repeated it. She was free. Outside, Daniel and Richard waited. When she saw them, Grace broke down. She walked to Richard and knelt. Thank you, she whispered. I know I don't deserve this. I'm sorry. Richard said nothing, but he didn't walk away. That was enough. Daniel helped her up, and they walked away, together. Meanwhile, Sophia sat outside their home, broken. The same lips that once mocked her mother now trembled in silence. She had lost everything. And she knew it was her fault. One morning, she decided to leave. She had to know the truth about her father. When she arrived in the city and saw the name Richard & Sons Holdings, her legs shook. It was all true. She waited at the gate, crying. A staff member informed Richard. When he came out and saw her, she ran to him, knelt, and cried. Daddy, I'm sorry. I was blind. Please forgive me. Richard took her inside. After some silence, he said softly, "I forgave you long ago, Sophia. But your mother poisoned your heart." Sophia nodded through her tears. "I know, Daddy. And I'm sorry." Richard continued, "I can't live with both of you again. I have a wife now. A peaceful life." Sophia understood. "It's okay, Daddy. I'm just happy you forgave me." As she stood to leave, he stopped her. "There's another house across town. Go there. You and your mother can stay for now." She turned, shocked. He smiled faintly. "I'm not throwing you away. I just want peace." Before she left, he handed her an envelope. "Start something. Build your life. No more chasing men. Be better." Sophia held it with both hands. "Thank you, Daddy. I'll never forget this." When she reached the house, she found Grace already there, resting. They froze. Then Sophia walked up, knelt, and said, "Mama, I'm sorry." Grace, with tears in her eyes, replied, "I'm sorry too. I raised you wrong. I filled you with bitterness." They held each other and cried. "If I could go back, I would," Grace said. "But now, let's start again." They sat together, not as enemies, but as two broken souls trying to heal. Dear viewers, what did you learn from this powerful story? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the journey, give us a thumbs up, share with loved ones, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed.